Good day, everybody. So today is Thursday, March, I think it's the 19th today.
Yeah.
And we're in the week of Parsha of VaYakhel. And I just want to say it's very interesting. This next Thursday is Rosh Chodesh. So we're now in the first day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So it's in 8 days from now, it's going to be Rosh Chodesh. And there's a Parsha Shmini, which is it's the 8th day that Aaron and his children were confined before they brought the first sacrifice. So it's interesting in this whole corona temperature, we're all being confined before Passover. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of a general introduction to a few ideas that I share often in the Parsha. One is sometimes I'll refer to the number of the Parsha. So I just wanted to show you, we have 5 books of the Torah, and each book has a certain number of Parshas in them. So Bereshit has 12 Parshas, Shemos has 11 Parshas, or Exodus, Leviticus Numbers has 10 Parshas, and Numbers has 10 Parshas, and Deuteronomy Devarim has 11 Parshas. So this week's Parsha were actually the 22nd and 23rd Parshas of the Torah, Parsha of VaYakhel and Pekudi. Together, this number 22 and 23 actually comes up to 45, which is the gematria of Adam. And many of the rabbis say that 45 days before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is the first day of Nisan, is Tu B'Shvat. And a person has the ability to renew himself in these 45 days. He can make himself into a new Adam. So sometimes I'll refer to the number of the Parsha. In this week's Parsha, I won't be going too much into it, but just interesting to say that this is the 22nd Parsha. And last week I mentioned that in Kisisa, the Mafter which is the extra reading we had at the end of the services, had 22 verses, and the Haftorah had 22 verses, and 22 being the number of letters in the Aleph Beit. And so in Aleph Beit, the letters of the alphabet, or Aleph Beit in the English alphabet, go together to make words. And Pesach, Pesach means the mouth speaks. So we're learn to speak properly, as I discussed last week. Now, just to go over a little bit of the Aleph Beit and Gematria, here we see that each letter of the Aleph Beit, I have here the first 10 letters, Aleph to Yud, and each one is worth a different number in a Gematria scheme. So Aleph is 1, Beit is 2, Gimel 3, Dalet 4, Hey 5, and so on up into Yud. And often when if I spell God's name or say God's name, I won't mention this 5th letter Hey as a Hey, I'll say K, because we don't want to use the Lord's name in vain. And then we have the following 12 letters after the 10 letters. We have from Kuf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, all the way to Tav. And the next 9 letters, they go up by tens, not just 1 by 10. So 20, 30, 40. So Mem is 40, Nun is 50, Samech 60, all the way to Kuf, which is 100. Once we reach 100, the letters then jump by 100. So Resh is 200, Shin is 300, Tav is 400. There are other systems that use different numbers as well. There are 5 letters that have end. The 5 of these 22 letters have a different spelling if they're found at the end of the word. And often the gematria of those letters they go up to 500 to 900, but we're not going to discuss that today. So when we go to today's Parsha of VaYakhel, I've spelt it out for you, Vav, Yud, Kuf, Hey, Lamed. And if we take the gematria, we say the Vav is a 6, the Yud is 10, the Kuf is 100, the Hey is 5, the Lamed is 30. We come up with the number 151. Now this word VaYakhel means assembled. So in this week's Parsha, it opens up that Moshe is going to assemble the children of Israel, and he's going to give them different commandments and laws. And he's going to open up with the laws of a Shabbat. He's going to tell them that 6 days they can work, and the 7th day is a Sabbath to Hashem. They can't do any form of work. Many of the working of building the temple or the Mishkan, there's 39 different types of work that's done, and those 39 are prohibited. And so the Torah is going to go, and this week's Parsha is going to really say we can't do these work. The building the temple does not override keeping the Sabbath. And again, the gematria of VaYakhel of assembly is 151. Now, there is another very interesting word that has the gematria, or the number 151, and that is the word mikvah. So if you look at mikvah, mem, kuf, vav, hey, it's 40 plus 100 plus 6 plus 5. Again, it's 151. And so a mikvah is a physical body of water, and it could be an ocean, a river, a lake, but often people build the mikvah, and it has to be a certain volume. And if a person submerses themselves underwater completely in the mikvah, they can purify themselves. So we see that there's a purification by submerging under in a certain space of water. And so since VaYakhel opens up with the laws of the Sabbath, for me, the Sabbath is also like a mikvah. It's a mikvah in time, whereas a literal mikvah of water is a mikvah within the physical world, within space. Now, there are three other complete spaces a person can go into that act with their whole body, besides the mikvah, because the mikvah you go with your whole body, whereas putting on tefillin you put on your arms. The other two I have this a little bit of order. The other two would be going in a sukkah or being in the land of Israel. These are three mitzvahs we can do within space with our entire body. But as I said before, Shabbat is a mikveh in time. So we have a mikveh in space and we have a mikveh in time. And so it really doesn't matter where you are. So for this Shabbos, for example, many of the synagogues and the shuls are closed and the rabbis are telling us to stay home. So it doesn't matter where we are in space because we can be in the mikveh of Shabbat in time. Now, I just want to digress for a second to talk about Hashem's names. Hashem has many different names. The most common one known to people is the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Some people say Havaya, some people say Yahweh. Now if you spell it out, the Yud is 10, the Hey is 5, the Vav is 6, the Hey is 5, and that adds up to 26. And it's interesting because there's 26 letters in the English alphabet, there's 26 generations from Adam to Moses, and if we take the name of Hashem in English, G-O-D, it's 7, 15, and 4, which also is 26. And 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 is interesting because it's the symbol of infinity, and we say Hashem is above this world. He's the infinite. Now, there is another name of Hashem that we use, and it's called Eka. And it's Aleph, K, Yud, K. This is a Hey, but I'm going to say K. It's called Eka, and this is used by Moses at the burning bush. Moses will say, Eka Asher Eka, I am that I am. When Moses says to Hashem, what's your name so I can tell the people? He says, tell them Eka Asher Eka, I am that I am. And if we look at the gematria of Eka, it's 1 plus 5 plus 10 plus 5, which is 21. I am that I am, and this is the burning bush. Now, there are different tricks we do in gematria that the Ari Zal, who was a famous rabbi, his name is Rabbi Isaac Lurie of Sfat, he brought down different things we could do, and maybe he received the tradition from his rabbis. And one of the things we can do is we can square each of these numbers, or we can spell each letter out. Each letter, Aleph, can be spelled out Aleph Lamed Pei. The Hey can be spelled out Hey, Hey. The Yud, Yud Vav Dalet, and the Hey again, Hey, Hey. So if we do either of these techniques, so for example, if we square each of the numbers of Eka out, 1, 5, 10, and 5, we come up to 1 squared, which is 1, 5 squared 25, 10 squared 100, 5 squared 25. We come back to 151, which is interesting because this is the gematria of what I said, VaYakhel and Mikva. So I am that I am is, when we square it out, it's 151. Now if we do something else, if we decide, let's say we're going to spell out each of the letters of Lamed Pei, which is Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, Pei is 80, that's 111. And then we add up the next letter, Hey, Hey, that's you spell it out. It's 5 plus 5 is 10. And then the Yud, Yud Vav Dalet, 10, 6, and 4 is 20. And the final Hey, Hey, Hey is 10. Again, we come to 110 plus 10, 121, plus 20, 141, plus 10, 151. Again, by squaring out the name Eka, which is the name of God at Eka, Asher Eka, I am that I am, it is 151. Now just interestingly, the name Eka, as I said earlier, is the gematria 21. So it's 1, 5, 10, and 5 is 21. And Eka Asher Eka is 21 times 21 is 441, which is the gematria in Hebrew of the word for truth, which is emes. So I am that I am, this is a truth. And we see that 151 is connected to this name Eka. Now, So I just wanted to tie a little bit into what's going on with the corona, the isolation, that VaYakhel were being assembled. We can still keep Shabbat within the time. And there's another very interesting word with the gematria of 151, and it's kana. Kana kuf nun aleph, and it means anger. And so it says in this week's Parsha, it says, you can't make fire on Shabbos. And many of the rabbis have said that making a fire means getting into an argument, getting heated up, getting angry. So it's very important because Shabbat is a very important time. I just want to explain my concept of Shabbat. Shabbat is really the seventh day. And when we stop doing everything, we have the ability to connect to the number 8, which is Hashem, which is the infinite, as we spoke earlier. So we really want to avoid getting angry on the Sabbath and staying in a state of peace so that we can connect to Hashem. Because when we get angry, it blocks our connection to Hashem, and that's what the Shabbat is trying to accomplish. So let's just kind of summarize what we've said so far. We said that VaYakhel is introducing again the Sabbath, and the Sabbath is more important than doing any form of work in building the temple, and the Shabbat is connected to the same. VaYakhel has the same gematria as a mikva, which is a purification. So the Sabbath is a purification, and the mikvah is a purification. And we see that Hashem's name, Eikeh, which shines, I am that I am, which you can tap into on the Shabbat, is connected to the number 151 as well. And so we have that. And just one last thing I just want to tie in. It's not so connected to this, but the Ari Zal, again, the Rabbi Isaac Luria said that after we eat, we wash our hands. We do something called Mayim Achronim. And when we wash our fingertips, after we've eaten, we're washing away any impurity that we may have had. A lot of people wonder, why am I washing my hands after? It's, well, just to clean your hands in case you have food or sticky things on your hands. But also, sometimes we eat too much. We have an over-desire to eat, and that creates a spiritual sort of negativity around us. So the Arizal says by washing our hands, we can remove that. And so the Arizal recommends that when we wash our hands, you should focus on this name, the Aleph, Hey, Yud, K name, the name Eikeh, as you're washing your hands. And after you wash your hands, you shouldn't speak until you finish benching. So that's it for today. I wish everyone a wonderful special Shabbat. This is Shabbos Chodesh, and may we all do our part to purify ourselves, get close to Hashem, and rebuild the temple and bring Mashiach speedily in our day.